Hello, welcome to some more gaming ramblings. I'll have a look at No Retreat by GMT, designed by Carl Parody. Got a bit of history with this game because I actually bought the original No Retreat, which was published by Victory Point Games, and I don't know when that was. I mean, early 2000s, I want to say, and really quite liked it. And there was an expansion for it as well called Berlin, onto Berlin, I think that means in Russian, and got that as well. And we played it a few times with a friend of mine, and it's very drawn by its small footprint, fairly elegant, a minimalist design. Very few counters, card assisted rather than card driven, so lots of historical flavour. It worked really well, and I was quite excited when GMT picked it up, and we're going to do a slightly blinged up version with a mounted map and slightly nicer components. The original cards weren't quite full-size playing cards. So GMT, we're going to upgrade those to standard cards because they do good quality stuff. And when it came out, I was playing the game, and it didn't seem a true clone. It was definitely, it had been developed, and I suppose it's true what they say, that a game is never finished, it's just published. And I think the opportunity to sort of tinker a bit with the new edition, or the new version, was a bit too great to resist. And I think what came out was it didn't feel quite so polished. There were lots of questions. FAQ was quite a long document. Lots of to-ins and goings with the designer on Consume World, and answers like let's sort of try this and see what we think about that. And I remember thinking, well, I didn't buy a playtest kit. I bought what I thought was a finished game. And although we all know things get errated, and especially someone like GMT are very good at fixing what needs fixing. But I was just left a bit disappointed because I thought it was going to come out as a bit of a polished gem, but it ended up being a little bit of a mess. So I just put it down. If like me, you've got a stack of shelves with lots of other options to play, and you think, well, I'll just play one of those. I don't need to be involved in this evolution of this game. But I didn't want to sell it because I thought that somewhere it would settle down and it would be a good game. Although I was too apathetic to be involved in that process. So I think there were some living rules produced in. I think this original game was 2011. Living rules were in 2012, and I think again in 2016. And it was about then that I think I started playing it again at a convention in the UK, and it's a really good game. Enjoyed it. Hats off to those that helped with the finishing touches. And I've got another sort of little convention coming up in the UK in a few weeks' time, and I thought this would be a nice candidate to take along. So I've got a friend lined up to play it. He can read the living rules, and we'll give it a go. So I'm just sort of knocking off a bit of rust off my understanding, and I've only got this No Retreat. There are others in the series. There's one, I think the No Retreat in Africa, I think that was number 2, and I think there was one, number 3 was at France 1940, can't remember. I might be tempted to get the, I think GMT are redoing No Retreat 2, which is the Africa one, which I may pick up, because I'm quite enjoying playing this again, solitaire. You can play it solitaire, it's card assisted, but you know, you just be honest with yourself and, you know, think, what would I do if I had these cards and I knew nothing about those other cards that I've just seen. So things I like about it are the size, the speed of play. There's some innovative little mechanics. If you're not aware, there's the counter blow mechanic, where essentially the phasing player commits to attacking certain hexes, so they get designated with a target, and you may typically have two hexes onto one hex, but there may be another defending hex adjacent to one of those 2 attacking hexes which isn't being attacked, and by using some of your cards, which are kind of the sort of currency of the game, you can place a counterblow marker on that non-targeted defending hex, and what that does, that actually diverts some of the attackers, so that counterblow threat must be countered. So the attackers must also use some of their resources, their available units in that hex, to attack the counterblow hex. The counterblow troops have given up any terrain advantage because they are deemed to be attacking. So if they are in a woods, you know, you've lost your 1 shift to the left. But it is a way to support essentially the original defender under the target. So that's quite nice, and that's got a nice sort of subtlety about it, that you're trying to nudge up close sometimes to the enemy front line, because not that you're going to attack it on your next turn, but in fact on the next one, on his turn, on the next player turn, you can place some of these counter blows, and you can of course use your cards to assist those attacks. So when the guy counter blows, what you're hoping for is that you get a counter attack result, which allows you to then attack him. So lots of little toing and froing. So that's, I mean, I don't think it would work with a really big game, but because of the size of this, it's just enough to keep things quite interesting. There's a different CRT as well for both sides. So the Russian one's slightly more biased towards exchange results, to the attrition that's going on. I think the Germans use the Russian one in the winter if they wish to attack, and you get sort of blitz markers and shock markers, which will vary in number as time goes on. Victory is determined by victory points. Nothing particularly innovative there, but the twist is that the initiative changes hands from German to Russian at round about the halfway, about turn 12, so just before half time really. It's a 28 turn game, and you have a sudden death judgment turn I think every 3 turns, and it's the person with the initiative who can determine or can achieve the sudden death by hitting the VP target, which are essentially points for capturing cities and objectives like oil fields, but also from some of the card play. And there are some hardwired events into the turn record track to represent the invasion of Italy and Pearl Harbor and other global events which affect one of the floating VP markers, which I think is limited to 6 total, but that is added to the overall VP total when you're doing the calculation. So I don't know if you tried it. It's been around for a while. I think it's probably still in print. I'll show you the map in case you haven't seen the game in play. I'm actually just playing this, as I say, solitaire to get my head around the rules again. Just starting turn 5 is the German. They've suffered pretty bad. They were one point away from, actually two points away for a sudden death on turn 3. They had a chance to take Odessa, which would have given them 19, which they failed to do, and 20 is the target. So they came pretty close, but they've had some. They've been pretty roughly handled in the first winter, and it's their turn. They've got a few holes in the line to patch up, as you'll see. So let's have a quick look at the map. Okay, so there's the whole map footprint. So it's pretty much I think it's a 22 by 34 essentially. It's like a single map sheet, but it's actually a mounted map board, and it's nice. It's a good nice solid playing surface. You can see there's not many hexes. What's that, about a dozen or so from north to south at the most narrow point. CRTs on the map, a German and a Russian in the other corner. You'll see where the that Odessa is still controlled by the Russians. It's about to be captured. There was an exchange result on the last turn, and you can't advance in after an exchange. So that'll be going Axis this turn, which will give them a VP. Those are some of the counterblow markers mentioned earlier. So the Germans will need to attack those if they are still adjacent to them come their combat phase, or they could choose to step away. They got pretty close to Moscow. They used to control Tula, so Tula's just there. So the Russian winter counter-offensive kicked the Germans out of Tula. They're threatening Smolensk, and there's a bit of a gap there, so a bit of a worry. But there are 2 German units in the shattered box which will come back for free, albeit disorganised. So they'll be able to put some blockers around Riga, and there are quite a few spare troops now around Odessa that now that's fallen. So I don't know, it still doesn't look good for the German, but we'll see. Here's the turn record track. So we're just starting turn 5. There's a German Kampfgruppe coming on, so there's another turn of snow with 3 more shock markers going to the Russians, so it's not going to be much fun. Really waiting for the summer when the Germans will start getting some blitz markers, you'll see, but that's an example of an historical event midway. So that will put the VPs one towards the Russians. The VPs are currently on 18, so that's a combination of the on-map cities that the Germans have captured or started the game with, and plus the 2 they've had from events. I think there was 1 event card and also one Russian formation died out of supply. That's another way to get victory points. So yeah, definitely made the right decision to hang on to this. Bit of a whinge about Arata and stuff, but it's really all first world problems, isn't it, really? There's bigger and more important things going on to get too excited about that sort of thing. And I think it's all come pretty good in the end.